Welcome back to We Still Like Each Other, the podcast. I'm Travis.
And I'm Stephanie.
And this is the podcast where we show that the honeymoon stage can last forever.
Forever and ever.
What's up, baby?
What's up, Daddy?
It's feeling different in here. I don't know. The vibes is different.
Because, there's a lot of feminine energy in here.
It's a lot of green bisexual energy in here.
Yeah. So one of our patrons told us that this couch that we're sitting on is known as the green bisexual couch in her friend group. And I'm like, you know what? Our first guest, one of them is bisexual and one's a lesbian. So look
at us. Good thing I'm not sitting on that couch.
So welcome back, Jojo and Dayra of Let's Chat.
Friends.
We're excited to be here, guys. It is so fancy. Like, where are we? Like, y'all should see the setup. Because if you're not on YouTube, you gotta get on YouTube.
Welcome. Y'all the first repeat guests. Mm-hmm. So welcome back, second time.
Ooh.
I just got it like that.
I just got a memory a year ago around this time y'all came.
Yeah.
Really?
So
That's
it's like
crazy.
the vibes repeat itself. That happens to me a lot with clothes. Like, I'll wear something and then, like, I'll get a memory on my phone that I wore the same outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Messing with it hard.
And I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, you know what? No, maybe it's not that serious. The weather's the same around the same time every year. Maybe that's why I stopped reading into it. Mm-hmm. But now this, like, I think this is, like, the universe.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And it's crazy because so last time we drove up to you guys, we drove up to, what was it? The Bronx.
Uh-huh.
And it was like raining and snowing. And it was like a 2-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't know what we was getting ourselves into, honestly.
Thank y'all for coming.
Last time y'all came, my friend Lou was making fun of me. He said, I never seen Trav smile so much. I'm like, some beautiful women here.
Right. And the vibes are just there from the beginning with him,
Mm-hmm.
He's very, like, I don't know. He's introverted by nature. I feel like this podcast pushes him to, like, be more extroverted. Yeah. But it takes a while. And I feel like with y'all, he was like, fucking with y'all. It's because y'all cute. I know it is. That's why I washed my hair, because I didn't want to be the only one.
Yeah, right.
Well, welcome back. I wanted to start and, like, break the ice a little bit with speaking about how y'all relationship might differ from ours a little bit. Because I noticed during our show, sometimes we're talking about gender norms or the roles in relationships. And I always say, well, we're in a heteronormative relationship. Like, I keep that in mind, that our experience isn't everyone's experience. Mm-hmm. So is there anything that you notice that is very unique to a lesbian relationship that doesn't happen in a heteronormative relationship?
I feel like I can't tell you. I haven't been in a hetero relationship.
Okay.
So.
But what about your experience with just your parents or other straight couples that you just know that you're like, oh, that's straight people problems because I don't deal with that?
I don't know.
Well,
I
could say just like in queer relationships, for some reason, we feel the need to still be cool with our exes. And I always tell her, like, in straight relationships, like, if they break up, you stop talking to them.
Yeah.
Like, let's say my sister and her boyfriend break up. That's it. We're done with him. Like, the whole family's done with him. Friends are done with him. So I feel like in queer relationships, I don't know why, but it's like people want to be besties with their ex.
Are you friends with any exes?
Shh.
Well, I know one of your best friends, right, is an ex, sort of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
kind of.
do you, Dara?
No, I don't talk to none of them.
That's that bisexual shit.
But you know what?
She got a strong black finger.
One of my closest friends is someone I messed around with, and they were a woman at the time, and I feel like maybe there's something to that. Mm-hmm. Like, the friendship that you have with an intimate partner of the same sex is a little bit different.
I've been trying to explain that to her because she always be like, I don't get it. And I'm just like, sometimes, at least one of the things that I noticed after a while was just like, maybe I wasn't meant to mess with them in that way. Like, I wasn't meant to pass that intimate threshold with them. Like, we were really just meant to be friends.
Gotcha.
I think, like, after you mess with someone so intimately after that, you're just like, yeah, I think you're a great person. I think you're meant to be in my life, just not in that way.
Gotcha.
So I think the person that I'm friends with now, like, she knows who they are. She loves them. She just realized, like, oh, all right, they are good people. So,
There's something to that, because when I, like, let's say I meet a new female friend, but I'm like, they might be gay and they're kind of cute. And I'll make it very clear, like, are you flirting with me or are you just really nice?
Right.
And once they set the boundary, like, oh, no, I'm like straight, I could quickly like turn off that whole like attraction and just be your friend.
Right.
But I feel like with men, like I
was
would
gonna
be.
say you got to teach men how to do that.
Men can't do that. Like if you try to like friend zone them, they're offended and it gets awkward, or they keep trying. They're like, she just doesn't want me now, but she'll want me eventually.
Right.
You know? So I think that speaks to that, and it impacts like staying friends with your ex in queer relationships, maybe.
Are you guys cool with any of your exes?
No. I mean, I have a few on social media, but and it's like a reaction here or there, but it's not like, hey, how's the family? How's and then for her,
Yeah, no, just T. But T wasn't my ex; it was just someone I messed around with. Okay. But you know,
I feel
we're
like
really
I
close.
should like reach out to some exes and.
No.
Do you feel like there's a difference between that though? Like ex and like someone I just messed with?
No, for me, no.
We kind of just had a conversation about this on Patreon. I think so. For example, if I have an ex and it ended on bad terms, it makes it more obvious that you're gonna draw a line.
Yeah.
You're not gonna follow each other on social media. But like if you met up with someone and hooked up and there's no bad blood and y'all just, I'm not gonna block them, unfollow them, stop talking to them, because we don't really talk that much to begin with. You know,
Right.
it was just like a social media friend that you might have hooked up with. And honestly, I'm sure he has a few he follows, but I don't care to know. He doesn't tell me about it. If I did know, I wouldn't care. But like, if the situation arise where we were in the same room, I would want him to at least tell me, so I don't like look stupid. You know, like, you know what, I kind of fucked with her back in the day. I'd be like, okay, cool, she kind of cute. All right.
Or to make fun of you, like, oh, you're nasty.
Yeah, and also to be alert, because, you know, I don't know if I've told this story before, but like in high school, I had a high school boyfriend, and they had went away to like a trip for like 4 days, and he was a year older than me, so I wasn't on the same trip. When they all got back, there was a girl in his grade that was like, oh my God, he missed you so much. He wouldn't stop talking about you on the trip. Da da da. Come to find out, they were fucking around on the trip. So it was all fake as hell. So I want to know, like, if I'm in the same space with someone, I want to know so I know if the vibes are genuine or not.
Dayra, cue the line.
Tragic.
Yes, exactly. So, but yeah. So if I get in a room with somebody you fucked around with, tell me.
Just tell you, okay.
But if you just follow them or whatever, I don't give a shit.
All right, gotcha.
Just don't be thirsty on that page. Another thing I wanted to ask, the other day we had a Sunday that it was like, from most people's perspective, super boring. But to us, it was like, this is the perfect Sunday. Like, we just got so much done around the house. Like, quality time with the kids was right. And it just felt great. Up until the end, we had bad time management. We still went to bed too late. But I'm like, what does an ideal Sunday look like for a couple without kids? So what's like the ideal Sunday for the two of you?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I made a draft TikTok because I never posted it.
Okay.
Literally saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I think wasn't it last week?
I feel like it was
it was last week. We got up early. We let the dogs out, did our thing, went to the gym. That was out the way. Once you get that like gym session out the way, you feel like,
Yes.
damn, like that was everything. So we did that. We ended up actually going to brunch at our friend's spot. And then
We met up with some
we
other
met with
friends. It was giving L word. Like, it was just like after the gym, going to a vegan spot. It was a vegan spot.
That's the title of our last episode. With
Yeah. So if you want to know more about Jojo and Dayra and their story, go back to that episode. It's called The L Word. So y'all Sunday. Go ahead, get back to that.
So we went to brunch with our friends, and then we went to the crystal shop next door, you know, chatted up with the lady there.
Gay as hell.
Yeah, super gay, right? And then we even hit the coffee shop. This is all on the same block, by the way. This is a nice little shoppery.
Gay community? Like,
It might as well
It
be.
might as well be.
Yeah, we literally got coffee, had brunch, and then went to the crystal shop, and we were like, all right, we're ready to go home. And we went home, and what did we do? We just chilled the rest of the day, and I was just like, wow, I feel like we accomplished so much. I think that day we actually started like pressing the shirts and stuff, messing around with that. But I was just like, wow.
It felt like everything.
a good day.
Yeah. I mean, because to me, it's like that's how you know you're getting older. My mentor is always like, oh, well, age, you know, they tell you 21, you know, you're grown, but I never felt grown. So I'm like, at what point do you really feel grown?
Right.
And I was like, it's all in the mental. And like, you find peace in just the little things. Like, we're constantly doing stuff all day, chores and stuff around the house. And I'm just like, wow. Like, even though some days it feels hectic, like I can never sit down, some days it actually is like peaceful.
Yeah.
So I think last Sunday was good.
Yeah, and I mean, we went to brunch and it was BYOB, but we didn't bring anything. Growth because I feel like we're always trying to find an excuse to drink, but lately we've been like just chilling off. I was gonna bring a bottle and I was like, let me relax.
Getting older and like when do you feel older is real. Like I'll be 33 this year and it sounds tragic. But I'll watch TV shows. For example, we just started Love is Blind season 4 and there's a woman there that like I like so far, Tiffany? But she's 36, right? And I'm like, she's like my peer. Like someone who's 36 is like close to my age. And I feel like she seems so much more mature than me. And I'm like, should I be this way? Am I like childish as fuck? Like what's going on?
Yeah, this 30s seems so much older when you're in
when I was 21, 30 felt like, oh my God, that's in 100 years.
Grown,
you know, like even in college, like trying to figure out what major I wanted to be. And like as a kid, I wanted to be a doctor. But then I'm like, oh, I won't be a doctor till I'm 30 something. And now I'm 30 something. And I'm like, that was a stupid reason not to try to be a doctor. You know, like time flies no matter what. But shit's scary.
It is scary. And I don't know what it is, but it's like there's something about when you turn 30, like you must accomplish certain goals. And I think that's what scares me because it's like, oh, by 30, like you should be getting paid this much. And these are just expectations that I have for myself that I always try to like be like, but why? Like, why do I need to hit these goals by 30?
The only expectation we need to have for ourselves is being happy.
Period.
And that shit is hard. Like, I know I have a 1-year-old, so I've been dealing with like postpartum and stuff like that. But literally, like, you can't put a price on just feeling good, feeling happy. Like that Sunday, that felt like, oh my God, this day just feels amazing. Like, that's what we need to be striving for. But also the reality of like bills and shit. So I get it. Like, I need to be making this amount of money.
That'll put you in a depression real quick.
Yeah. real quick.
How old are y'all again?
I'm 27.
28.
Okay. Got yourself a little cool girl over there.
Man, that's not what I thought.
Yeah, she thought I was older for some reason.
I thought I was going to be a
gives
sugar
like
baby.
mature vibes. That's what it is.
Yeah. Super mature.
She's like, I thought I had to come up.
Yeah.
Sugar mama.
I did. I was like, you know, it's about time I get me an older shorty. Played myself.
How does that play out in y'all relationship, like in terms of roles? Like, do you consider one to be more of like the breadwinner and one's more of the homemaker, or is it shared?
What do you think?
No, I think it's shared. I don't think anything. I mean, obviously, we want to be in a space where we're making money and equally providing. But I think more than anything is making a home, you know, because it's like, this is where we spend most of our time. So I think we share.
Yeah, I think we do too. And I feel like when she can't give like 100%, like I'm there to like provide the rest. So like she'll work like crazy shifts, like 16-hour shifts, and I'll like prepare her lunch, I'll make her breakfast, I'll cook dinner. So then like I'll cook dinner in the morning, so then she has something to take to work since I'm working from home. So I feel like we both take care of each other.
I love that. I love that. We have so many conversations about roles, right? And then it's like, you know, but that's just traditionally like what men do or what women do. And I'm like, what? So two lesbians just are missing out on all this traditional man roles? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, it should just be like, we take care of each other. We're trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
we're working on it.
But it wasn't always perfect. Like, I feel like we've had discussions about this, remember?
Yeah. Getting your foot in my ass.
And, and we talked about it in our last episode, but we had a conversation once. It was actually during our like our anniversary. We went away to this like little Airbnb thing, and we decided to buy this journal that was like kind of like a couples therapy, like exercise. And explain the like levels of things because I feel like
So
you're better at that.
the very first workshop thing in the book tells you like pretty much, it gives you a graph of like all the things in your relationship, doing chores and like your sex life and financial. So in that graph, you kind of like had to number what you thought out of 1 through 10, you know, what's your peak, what's your low in these specific categories. And then you had to share it with each other and like plot your partner's like answers or whatever.
So you were grading yourself and grading your partner?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Travis will hate that. Share it with me, please.
yeah. So I was actually super excited to do it because I was just like, you know, this will get us into like a different, you know, mind space and like mental to tap into, because like I really be trying to get her attention and shit. So I'll be like, all right, let's get into it. So we did that and I played myself. After like we shared like the answers and stuff, I was like, wow, I was super generous. First of all, I was very nice in my answering, and she was
Very honest.
yes. Yes. And I was like, so this is how you feel? Like this is what it is? Because in my head, I'm thinking like, I don't think it's perfect, but I'm just like, dang, I thought it was a little bit better than that. So I was super salty after that. I went from excited to like, wow.
This was a terrible idea.
But was it?
Yeah.
It improved things for you too, right?
It did. And like we were at this Airbnb where it was like we didn't have a TV. Like it was like a globe type of thing. We took some pictures. It was cute. So it was like we were kind of forced to talk to each other.
Gotcha.
And I was like, I'm not trying to kill the mood. Like I was really trying to like work through it. So it was like with the chores, I remember I was like, I feel like chores, like it's all on me. But then I told her, like, I think it's because working from home, I be thinking that I can multitask. Oh, like, let me cook and let me clean and let me do some clothes. And I'm like, well, if I was in a 9-to-5 job, I wouldn't be able to do these things.
Until you got home at 6.
And I remember you mentioning that. And I'm like, why am I killing myself? And then it puts more pressure on her because I'm like, well, you're not doing chores, but it's like I'm just doing the most.
Yeah. You're doing too much, and then she's just being realistic. So it seems like she's not doing enough.
Yeah. Like she'll wait till the weekend to do laundry. And I'm like, it's just
yeah. And I'm like, girl, I only got but so much time off.
Yeah.
And like, again, with my crazy work schedule, I'm just like, I know I'm going to get something done. And she's the person who's just like, I got to do it now. And I'm just like, I understand that you have to do it now, but you have to trust me when I say I'm going to get it done.
Yeah.
So I think it was a lot of working through that too. But woo, that had me stressed.
Yeah. That's like when we have conversations about workload. Sometimes I'm like, okay, so what do you contribute? And it kind of sounds like I'm being a bitch about it. Like, now tell me what you do, because you don't do shit. But I'm like genuinely like wondering, like in his mind, what does he think he does?
And it's always difficult for me to answer it because I'm not over here like taking out the garbage, making a checklist like, yep, I do the garbage, or I wash the dishes, or I make sure the doors are locked before we go to bed. Like I just do the things that bring us comfort and safety, even if it's like false safety, because you know anyone could break down that door. Yeah, so when she asked me those questions, it does feel like an attack. What do you do?
Yeah.
I guess since I run the list so much and I feel overwhelmed, I'm like, I need you to run your list, because maybe you could take some shit off my list.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even, but I don't think. Hold on. Not that it shouldn't be even, but I think it's what works for us in this current phase of our lives, especially with Steph being working from home now. I mean, well, yeah, working from home.
Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom.
And a podcaster.
Put some respect.
Come correct.
All right, baby, let's get the did you know?
Okay. Did you know? Did you know? Did you know women who support women are more successful than women who don't? Period. Research from Harvard Business Review found that women who have an inner circle of close female contacts are more likely to get executive positions with greater authority and higher pay. Multiple studies also show that women benefit more from collaboration than competition. Women who support each other effectively act as mentors and sponsors for one another.
I love that.
Me too.
Y'all know I picked that because y'all got the
other women. He's
all
like,
these women.
Right.
Pandering over
I
here.
am panda. What do y'all think about that?
No, I love that. And honestly, I feel like I can agree with that. like all the women around me and even like your friends and things like that, I feel like they're all doing badass shit and just supporting each other, and there's no hate. And like that's how I want it to be. Like any little hate or anyone's like, how's that little business going? How's that little podcast going? Get out of here. Get out of here, because it's not little. It's big.
That's like shade.
Right,
like, on
right,
the low.
right.
I hate that. I remember growing up, I never felt like I had super close female friends. And then I got into that stupid like mentality of like, I get along better with guys, which is so fucking corny. But you know, being young and dumb.
Real quick, like there are women our age who say that.
I feel like they have unresolved shit. Like, I feel like women who genuinely feel like I'm just better friends with men, and especially straight women, I feel like that's kind of strange. I feel like there might be some women who are more, I don't know, like masculine, into their masculinity. Maybe like lesbian women who are more like stud types that get along with men more. That makes sense. But if you're a straight woman, like you want to date and marry men, but they're also the only people you could be real friends with, I think there's something wrong with that.
Okay.
Like, I think it shows your inability to have genuine friendships with women. Like, why is it? Because you're competing with them?
Right.
Do you feel like they're competing with you? Like, what's going on? Like, as grown women, you should be able to have genuine friendships with other women.
Right.
I know it's hard sometimes, especially if you have kids or a demanding job or you're in a relationship. Like, sometimes it's hard to maintain friendships, but to be like, I just can't get along with women, it gives pick me, and I don't like that.
It does, honestly. But I also feel like friendship needs to be a two-way street. So like I had really close friendships before, and I stopped trying and they stopped trying. So it was just like, all right, then the friendship is done, because it's not a two-way street. But I feel like as you get older, you just start losing some friends and like getting new friends. So it makes up for it, because you know we met each other.
I was gonna say, I feel all that good energy here.
Right.
Oh, thank you.
And this is a reminder of being open, even in our age, to new friendships, because I mean, we met off TikTok. And we talk on the regular, so you know, I appreciate you all's friendship.
You know, make sure safety first. I made sure we got on FaceTime with them before they came over.
Right.
Don't be meeting up with people you haven't seen their face on video.
Right. No, facts.
Lower your mic a little. We want people to see your face.
Okay.
That pretty
No,
face.
put it back up. I know she cute. But
When it comes to women in business, though, I feel like sometimes women feel, or any marginalized group, you feel like there's not enough room for all of you, right? So like, if you're in a position of power in a corporate company and you're the only woman, other women feel like a threat, because you don't see 2-3 women on the board. So you're like, who's this? She's trying to take that one spot for me. Which is understandable, but I feel like women should work together and disrupt that shit. Like, there's room for both of us instead of being in competition with one another.
right.
For sure. Same thing with people of color.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, mad random, I've been watching like old ass like reality shows, because you know, stay at home mom, I just be having time. But I watch The Amazing Race, like old episodes that are on Netflix now, and it's like 10 pairs of people that play this game. And in both seasons I watched, there's only one black couple. And I'm like, it's like they only give one slot to like black people. And it's like, what the fuck? Why? And I think that happens in corporate jobs. So then there's another black person. You're like, oh. How do you feel when you see other black people at work?
It's like, oh, that's my kin. You know, we have the corporate meeting, but then we have the black meeting.
Yeah.
It's like, you believe this shit? Yeah. It's definitely kinship immediately. Like, we both understand each other. We both understand like this world that we're in.
Yeah.
And you know it probably better than me. Like, this is my first corporate job, and it's just like, I feel like a politician.
Yeah.
You know what also sucks? The burden we carry as being like the only women or the only person of color. Everything that other person does reflects on you, even if it's negative. So like, if let's say there's one more black guy coming to work with you, but then he's not good at his job, you feel like, oh my God, now everyone's looking at me. Or let's say you have an off day, you're worried because it's going to reflect bad on this other person of color. Like, we kind of
we wear like the, what's the word you're looking for?
Like that kinship, that like for example in the news, let's say something happened and they go to get like an eyewitness to talk on the news and it's a black person, but then they're ratchet as hell talking crazy on the TV. Yeah. You're like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Even though you don't even know them, but because they relate to you, if they're Latino, if they're a black person, you know, you're like, or if they pick a queer person to talk, but then they're talking crazy, you're like, oh, they're representing all of us. This shit sucks. That's what tends to happen at work.
There's a lot of weight in that. Do you guys feel any pressure now that you have this LGBTQ, help me with the missing letters?
Yeah. No, you
got
pressure in that? Like not saying the wrong thing or not offending anybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like, yes, we are LGBTQ plus podcast, but at the same time, we're not educated in everything, you know? Like, it's like we're still learning. And like we get comments all the time on like our social media, but it's like the people who are going to be for us are going to be for us. Like,
and
we're
you're
not
speaking on your experience.
Right. And we always say that we're speaking on our experience. So it's like, you got to remember that. We're not talking for everybody. We're just talking for ourselves. But it does put a lot of pressure. And I really try hard to like educate myself because I'm like, I'm trying to educate and I want Jojo to entertain because it's just a good mix, you know?
Yeah. I love that. See, I have rules.
But
if you've made it this far, please, YouTube, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking of this conversation. It's getting real LGBTQ plus in here. If you are on Apple or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review. Anything less, come back next week. We'll try and get you back. Yeah. Oh, and patreon.com/we still like each other. We just had our interactive recap number 19. Thank you to everyone.
It was super spicy. Everybody had a lot to say about gender roles and heteronormative relationships. So it was a fun one.
Yeah, it's nice seeing more and more people join every week. So thank you.
And if you have a chance to visit our website, we still like each other.com. We do have a shop and we have merch available. Show us some love.
Back to the show.
Back to the show. Have y'all started watching that show on Hulu called Planet Sex?
I haven't, no.
So, Planet Sex, I got put on. It's basically Cara. I forgot how to say her name. I was practicing it before this. Delevingne.
I got you.
So she hosts this show, and it's all about her exploring sexuality and gender identity, and she's basically like, you know, as a model, I never had the freedom to like just explore because I always felt like I was in the public eye. So in this show, every episode, she's just learning about gender, sexuality, sex. It's a bunch of shit. It's super fun. Something I wanted to highlight 2 things that she did on the show. So one of them is this blood test that she did. So she visited like different scientists, psychotherapists, and got like educated as.
Oh, wow.
You know how you're like, I'm not educated on everything. She's like, I'm trying to be educated on everything. And she went to like the professionals like all around the world. And they did this test that basically, not the blood test. I wanted to talk about this vagina test that she did. So when you're aroused, right, men and women, blood flows to like your genitals, right? So she did this test that they were testing when she would be aroused, right? And they gave her different stimulus. It was like a very like scientific experiment. And they showed her like heterosexual sex, lesbian sex, gay sex, sex with animals, like different spectrum, different sex. And they literally put like a device in her vagina that would test the blood flow. And what these people have noticed is that women tend to get aroused by literally anything sexual. It could be a fruit. It could be gay sex, lesbian sex, queer sex, which in turn...
Even the animal sex?
Even the animal sex. But men tend to only get aroused by the type of sex that correlates to their sexual identity.
So if I'm straight, it's only straight sex. If I'm gay,
it's only gay sex.
I thought it would be opposite.
Exactly. That's what I thought. But then what it made me realize is that that's basically proving that women could be more fluid than men. So like, especially for like just sexual pleasure. Maybe not because we're so socialized to like have a family and fall into these gender norms that even super sexually fluid women, tend to land in heteronormative relationships. But like when it comes to just sexuality, they could be more fluid. This is why so many straight girls kiss their friends in college and shit like that.
So is it to say that there's no such thing as a bisexual man?
No, it's not that there's no such thing. This is like they've studied thousands of people and that's where it leans. It doesn't mean every single woman is turned on. It doesn't mean every single woman they've tested is fluid. And it doesn't mean every single straight man they tested was only aroused by straight sex.
And that's a little scary maybe because like let's say as I consider myself a straight man and let's say the blood started flowing when it was gay sex. Well, I'm like, no, I'm not gay. I don't.
That doesn't mean you're gay, but it's just sexual. Maybe like your sexual desires are a little bit more kinky and fluid.
I don't think like whatever's happening, you're envisioning you in that space with whoever you're with. Because I'll be watching shit and I'll be like, damn. This is weird, but like I would do it with you.
Right? Or like Travis will show me a TikTok of something and I'm like, ooh, that guy got me. So how do y'all feel about fluidity when it comes to your personal like sexual orientation?
Go ahead, babe.
I mean, I'm not surprised by that like study and that exam. And honestly, I feel like if women were more open to it, they would be in more or less like in like same-sex relationships. They would be like, I feel like they just gotta try it out once.
I feel like they are becoming more open to it though.
They are.
Even if they playing us, they become more open to it. Just to get that like, I don't want to say, you know, guys ain't getting the job done, but they're like, what's the hype?
But do you feel a way? Because I've heard some stories. It's like, she's basically ran through the whole block and like nobody wants her. So now she's gay.
Now she's
Oh, like so she's been with a lot of men.
Well, not even. She's been with a lot of men and she has nowhere else to turn. So now all of a sudden
maybe she was just trying really hard to be straight and it didn't work.
But
not impossible.
As a lesbian, do you feel a way about someone who's just kind of like trying you because they have nowhere else to go?
But who said that? Who said they don't have nowhere else to go?
In their circle.
To say, do they have nowhere else to go? Because I do feel like guys are always, no matter how much you hoeing it up,
you, but will they
gonna...
marry you?
Yeah.
Well, I
don't think it's impossible.
I do feel like straight men are less willing to commit nowadays. Yeah. So I feel like maybe as women and if you're fluid and you're having trouble finding commitment with straight men, then be like, you know what? I'm gonna commit to a woman. I think that happens, but I don't think you should be offended by that.
Oh, they're the lesbians.
I just think that I think that people find it scary because like we still live in a world where they don't accept it. So it's like, what are your friends and family gonna think? Like, what is your parents gonna think? You know. So I feel like people are scared of that, but I do think that a lot of women probably like envision it or like think about it. Like, what if you know?
They all do it eventually.
Really quick on that. I've been thinking about the fact that I feel like we're moving backwards in terms of acceptance.
How so?
Yeah.
In terms of just people accepting gay couples, people being gay, period. And at one point, I'm like, I remember when same-sex marriages were put into law, into effect. And now it just seems like everyone's so anti-gay. Do you feel that? Do you feel...
Yeah, and I think it's because of all the laws that are put in place right now, and Florida being one of them. I forgot the other state, but it's
Texas, probably.
Texas.
Or even in, was it Uganda recently?
Oh, yeah,
I don't know what happened in Uganda.
Is it Uganda?
I think so, too.
Where it's basically illegal to be gay, and you could be...
But there's a lot of countries around the world like that. Yeah. Arab countries like Iran and stuff.
But that's also things that have been put into effect forever for something that happened in 2023.
So like the law was just put into place.
Yeah, just now. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know. I think it's maybe like the transgender topic that people have a problem with, like kids like going through the transition. But yeah, I don't understand.
I don't get why people can't mind their business.
I don't know why they care.
Do what you want to do with your kid.
Right.
Do y'all ever feel uncomfortable traveling?
I remember we went to Jamaica and I told her like we gotta be careful because like they're a little homophobic. And like when she would try to kiss me, I'll be like, not too much. Like I really
feel like on the resorts you feel more safe. But like if you go out, I would probably feel uncomfortable too.
Yeah. Like when we stayed in the resort, but I didn't want to do too much traveling because of that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's just two of us. Like we're not in a group. We don't have any men around us. So
yeah, I'm about to
like,
say just as two females alone traveling, not even just on the us being a couple, as just two females and no male, you know.
Do you ever run into the issue where that since you kind of dress a little bit more masculine, that men try to like size you up, like on some like, what's up? No,
Nah.
good, because I've seen that.
I've been
like,
actually very lucky.
Yeah.
I guess lucky, but for the most part, guys be like, "Yo, I like your swag." Like,
yeah.
and weirdly enough, they're attracted to it. So
Yeah.
when we were in Jamaica, the guys who were bartending were like gas off us. But I'm also in a bathing suit, so
Yeah.
I'm not scared to wear my little 2-piece and shake that thing.
Yeah.
So, but nah, most times they like it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, y'all call that the switch up, right?
Oh
That's what y'all say?
yeah. Big switch energy, baby.
Love that. Back to Kara's show, Planet Sex.
We
There
gotta
was
watch that.
another study. What do y'all think about the female orgasm? Like, is it real? Is it not?
I'm laughing that she looked at me.
I know.
Right,
y'all know
right,
it's
right.
real. I looked at the man in here because,
Is it real?
you know, to some men, they say it doesn't exist. Like,
No,
it's elusive.
So
Because you know how when men come, it's like obvious. It's like,
So I will say it's definitely real. I think in my experience with the women I've been with, it shows up differently. You're not like you don't like come loudly. Like
Okay.
I know when you're having an orgasm, but it's not like super obvious. It's only
Yeah.
because we've been together for a good amount of years. I've been with people that literally like their body like convulses, and I'm like, oh, I guess I did it. It's probably I find. It was easier with that person because at least it was like I had a cue. I had
Right.
a physical cue. And then sometimes I'm looking at stuff like,
what's going
I think
on?
I did it. I think I did it.
lucky thing I like to talk. So most of the time I'll
Yeah,
tell you.
yeah.
Yeah. I hate not knowing. Like, I be having to ask her sometimes. I'm like, girl, you gotta speak up.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for me and her because we're kind of the same in the sense of like, well, she's not a quiet one. I am. I'm not into hearing myself, but I think like, I don't know. Like, it's not easy for us. We definitely got to work for it.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, but you got to work for it. So, it's hard sometimes.
No, but it's
It is.
real. It's real.
Absolutely. So I also, Kara, she did this blood test, and basically they drew her blood when she first got there. Then they had her like masturbate, and then as soon as she came, she had to tell them so they could draw her blood again, like immediately after orgasm. And what they've found in men and women is that in your blood there's something called endocannabinoid.
One more time.
Endocannabinoids. So you hear the word cannabis in there?
Yeah.
So there's like something in your blood that's the same as like if you smoked weed, like right after you come. And I'm like, when I really come, I get like sleepy, like really lazy and tired. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
It's like a natural high.
Yeah, like a natural high. And it doesn't last as long as if you smoked weed, but it's like a calming like feeling.
So she's not sleepy. She didn't.
You
come.
didn't make her come.
I feel like that's a little, I mean, I don't know. It's a little different for us because I feel like once it happens, like, all right, you're relaxed. But it's like, now I'm ready to go again.
Oh.
You know?
But let's say that feeling lasts. Let's be generous and say like 15 seconds. You want that. You want to get another hit.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? So I'm bisexual. So obviously I've had lesbian sex and straight sex. And I feel like lesbian sex, I'm more likely to want to go again.
Yeah.
And I honestly think it's like the lack of like that aggressive penetration with female sex.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you fuck a man, like it's more exhausting and like you're getting like a pounding.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more extreme. Whereas like with women, it's like a little softer and it's like you can have it in more doses, right?
There's some lesbians looking at their strap right now like, I'll give you a pounding.
True. I never had strap sex with women. I've never done that. It's always been like
Yeah, me neither.
fingers and tongues.
Y'all don't use a strap?
Oh, still?
Still.
We spoke about this
We
last
did.
time.
We did.
I'm trying to get in there, but she's like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think we need it.
I don't think it's a sense of needing it. I just think it's like, an extra play.
So
That's
no
all.
strap, but do y'all have dildos?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So
The
I'm
strap
not
is probably
too
more
shocked.
so like a visual thing. I can only imagine, right? It's like you're visually just watching the action on it, and it's probably doing
But
something.
not
for
only
you.
visual, it's like with a dildo, it's like a hand position. A strap, you have like a hip motion, different kind of action.
It just
going
seems like
on.
a lot more work.
Honestly, like I'm dying to strap somebody. Like
It is a lot more work, but at the
A
same
woman,
time, it
a
is
woman.
a
fun.
woman, yes.
A woman.
Travis is like, I'm not
I
getting
looked
strapped.
at him like,
Yeah. Baby, you won't let me strap you?
He said, "Stop trying to put me out there like that."
you can't pack him.
No, but I want to so bad. Because, you know, one of my people say, like, if you were a guy for a day, what would you do? Fuck. Like, I want to know.
To see what the hype is.
I feel like you still have a sense, like as a top, you still have a sense of control when you don't.
Yeah.
But I think that when you do, it's different. Like, I don't know. I be telling her, like, when I'm not giving head and a little finger, like, I want to be in your face, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, like, that puts you in a more
Yes,
intimate.
more
like,
intimate.
yeah.
That, what's that
And give you a
position
little
called? Like
hip thrust, you
missionary?
know?
Yeah.
Grab my butt, you know?
Are you always a top or are y'all like verse?
Yeah, worse.
Okay.
Switches.
She don't like to claim it, but
No problem.
Okay.
She wants to let me out, let her let me out.
Love that for y'all.
I don't think I could be with her if she was a touch me not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just not my thing. But I can't judge people who are touch me nots because they be coming for me.
for our super straight listeners, what's a touch me not?
Okay, yeah. So a touch me not is a lesbian that literally doesn't like being touched. So they don't like getting eaten out. They don't like getting fingered. Like nothing. Like,
But
you
they'll do
can't.
stuff to you.
But they'll do stuff to you. Yeah.
Do you think, I don't want the LGBTQ community to attack me for this thought. It's just a thought I have. But do you feel like lesbians who are touch me nots, it's because of like maybe some form of like gender dysphoria? Like maybe they don't feel comfortable in like a female body and it's related to that?
Yeah, I think it could be a couple of things. Like when people message us and like ask for advice all the time, and they'll ask like, oh, like my girlfriend's a touch me not, like basically what do I do? And I'm like, well, it could be a bunch of things. The first thing is I feel like they need to seek therapy. And I'm not saying that like to be funny or anything, but I do feel like it could be something mental, you know? So,
And is it usually with like masculine studs?
it usually is.
Right? It's never like a feminine touch me not, or
No.
Very
rare.
rarely, yeah. Very rarely. So it could be a lot of things. Like maybe they had a bad experience, or maybe they're not comfortable, or maybe they're like insecure about something. Like, I don't know, but...
Or they just really like to please rather than receiving.
That too.
That's a super high.
Yeah, but also you have to be like a equal opportunist in terms of like in the bedroom, because for me, giving pleasure is pleasure.
Right.
So for the partner, it's like I want to.
So if you're with the touch me not, maybe you're missing that part of pleasure for yourself, the part of giving.
Right.
It's just four lesbians just chatting.
Right.
Another thing I wanted to talk about, still on the gay shit. Sorry, I was like, Jojo and Dayra coming back on. I don't want it to be like a LGBTQ Q&A session, but it just happens, and I'm bisexual too, and it's just like I don't always have the opportunity to have these conversations with queer people, so it's like boom. So we briefly had a conversation about this, but I was telling Travis, like, you know what? I think I might be pan and not just bi. Have you considered like if that possibility, or like, so bisexual is like you like men and women, pan is more you like any gender identity.
Right.
Have you considered?
Sometimes I think about that too, because it's like sometimes you just see someone who's just like attractive, and you honestly don't know what they are. Like, are you a man? Are you a woman? Like these TikTokers or whatever, like they be putting these thirst traps. Like there's this couple, you know which one I'm talking about? No. There's this couple that be dressing up. They're men, but they dress up as girls, and I'm like, they popping. Like the fuck. You know which one? The black guy and the white guy?
Oh, yeah, they be jumping.
I'm going to send you their Instagram so you can see.
Is that cross-dressing? Or?
Is it?
I don't, listen, I'm not that educated in terms.
You ain't going to cancel me. You ain't going to cancel me.
So this is my thought process, right? the reason so many gender identities are coming out and so many different sexualities is because we're getting more exposure to these things, right? So growing up as a teenager that I knew I was queer, the only thing I could really identify with was bisexual, right? But then as bisexual, like even you had sent me this post on Instagram and it talked about how like bisexual women are 3 times more likely not to have queer experiences, right? And it's because our society is so much easier to just date men. So at the time, we didn't know about pansexuals or anything. And then what little we knew about trans people was from a very transphobic perspective, right? Like trannies, or like they didn't look good, or like, oh, like you should just stay who you are. So how could I grow up thinking like, oh yeah, I'm queer and I also like trans people? And I feel like now with all the exposure we have, I'm like, I might be pan.
Yeah.
Because if I see somebody cute as fuck and they're like, I was born a woman, I'm gonna be like, Ann, you look good. Right. So what?
And honestly, I think pan is more accepted than like being bisexual. Like bisexuals, the gay community does not like bisexuals.
That's so weird to me.
And I'm always fighting them on TikTok because I'm like, it shouldn't have to be like that.
But they be telling JoJo, she gonna leave you.
No, they'll say things. So I had given an example before of like what biphobia is. And basically I put it in this way. Like all right, so let's say we see each other at the club. We're talking, blah, blah, blah. We're having a good time. I like you. You like me.
Yeah.
And then you tell me you're bisexual and I'm like, I'm good.
Ugh.
That's biphobic because it's like you was feeling her in that moment. And then when she said she was biphobic, you no longer thought she was attractive, like you wasn't feeling her anymore.
That's the same with transphobia, right?
I was gonna say that reminds me of some zodiac shit. Like it's like,
yeah.
I'm a Gemini. Have a good night.
It really shouldn't have to be like that. And people were like, no, that's a preference. So it's like a lot of people agreed, but a lot of people disagreed too.
And that's what people will say with being transphobic. Like it's a preference, so if you're like a straight man or woman, I can see why you have a preference for non-trans men and women, right? But I feel like if I'm bisexual and I like men and women, it's like whatever. Like
I just don't
You're
understand why. Right. But like, why does it matter who you dated before that person?
Exactly. And then another question is, I'm married to a man. Why am I still considering my sexuality, right? Some people might say, like, you're bi, but are you bi because you're married? And now they're going to hear that I'm pan. And I'm like, what the fuck? You're with the man. Who cares what you are? And I guess, I don't know. I think it's
different for you guys, though, because, like, you guys have explored, like, a third person.
But we would probably only strictly explore, like, a cis woman.
Yeah.
In our relationship.
And I don't think, no matter if you're in a relationship, I don't think you ever stop discovering yourself.
Thank you, babe.
Like, there's no part of me that's like concerned that now all of a sudden she's a pan or whatever.
A frying pan.
I sound super ignorant. I'm sorry. But there's no part of me that's like, oh, now she's open to the next person who she may leave me for. Like that's, I think we all should be like discovering who we are as we get older, especially like you old.
I was watching there's this show Next in Fashion with Gigi Hadid and Tan. And one of the designers was a trans man. And the first couple of episodes, he never said it.
Didn't even know.
And we couldn't even tell.
He was cute.
So when he said it, I was like, see, this is why I think like I could be pan because I'd be with it.
So, just to educate me, pan has only become a thing since transgender people, right? Because now transgender people are no longer cis when they transition. So now you have to add the pan because you're attracted to them as well.
So let's say you're a lesbian. You like women, right? That's like what the term is. So I think pan means you'll date a woman even if they transition to a woman, not just cis women, right?
Yeah.
That's what that means?
Yeah.
Kind of, right?
Yeah. Like pretty much.
Or like someone
just
who's
doesn't matter.
non-binary or gender fluid or...
Just a person.
Just a person. No matter how they identify.
I'll date a human.
Yes.
Pretty much. No matter what the sex is or what's going on down there.
Exactly.
I'm sure somebody will tell us that we're wrong.
Yeah, that we're wrong.
I feel like that's it. Like I'll date a human no matter what.
Yeah.
But then people like to be ignorant, be like, so you'll date like an alien? You'll date like an animal? Like
Humans.
People are crazy.
Yeah, people are annoying.
There was a guy that married a bridge. I don't know if you remember.
A bridge? I saw on Planet Sex, this woman married a character from The Sims.
What the fuck? Yeah,
I don't know
people
how
are
things shit possible.
I think it's more of a like statement because like her family's pressuring her so much to like have a traditional relationship. So she's like, I'm gonna marry the Sims character, I think. But it sounded very like she's in love with this character.
The obsession is real.
little weird.
Crazy.
So I know you all probably love Jojo and Dayra just as much as we do. So if you want to keep up with them, I'm going to let them plug all their socials and stuff. Go ahead. Where can people find you?
First of all, on YouTube at Let's Chat Podcast. On Instagram, TikTok. What else we got, babe?
Twitter.
Ooh, Twitter. Yeah. Follow us at Let's.Chat Podcast.
So that's LES.
Not LEZ.
Yeah.
Don't play yourself.
That's another podcast.
All right. They also have merch that just dropped as well. It's super dope. It says like love without limits, right? So, you have it? Okay. There's
we got a Tumblr. This Dayra's
and
Tumblr.
stickers and stuff.
Yes, so stickers that we did. And then we did our shirts that says love without limits.
It's super dope.
Yes.
I can't wait to wear it. I'll probably wear it on the podcast next week or something.
I'll do the week after.
All right. So we usually have this segment called like, also y'all can relate. But we didn't have a new one, but I found this letter through the New York Times, right? So the New York Times has this like subgroup where they have an ethicist that reads people's letters and responds with like ethical advice. Oh. So I'm going to read the letter and we're going to talk shit about it. And then we're going to see what the ethicist said, who's more educated than us. Perfect. Okay, so I have a child friend who recently moved into my home. A childhood friend, not a child friend. That sounded kind of pervy. Sorry. Everything has been going well, except she's dating an inmate who was convicted of murdering one of his family members. This inmate is somebody we knew when we were younger. Our friend group was very affected by the murder. I have my own personal trauma with the inmate, and I know my roommate does as well. He is really a great guy, but my roommate is convinced that the inmate has changed. She tells me details about their relationships as friends do. It's clear to me he hasn't changed much. I avoid talking about him as much as possible and change the subject if he is brought up. Although he still has 11 years left on his sentence, he's trying to appeal for a lesser term. I am hopeful their relationship will end before he's released. Otherwise, I fear for her safety. I can see the red flags every day. What do I do to help? My family tells me I should try to talk to her about it. But I fear that I will push her away. What do y'all think about that?
I was confused at first because I thought he was like living with them, but then
no, he's still in prison. Jail,
so
it's like a
pen pals.
Yes.
It's tough because we, as a society, we say that jail or prison, that's supposed to be rehabilitation. You do a crime, you go there to change your negative ways and hopefully come out a better person, and you could be part of society now. So now you're basically saying, I don't believe in that. You're going to come out even more crazy and you're no good for my friend.
Good point.
Being real, like I would be just like the friend. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't support it.
Yeah.
Like he killed somebody that was a family member, like even worse. And what was the reason? I think maybe what was the reason first, but like even then it's like, be real.
Yeah.
Like how could this, I just don't even know how the relationship could work.
That's me. I would want to know why, because it also happened when they were young. Like they were teenagers when it happened, right? So I like to think that children, teenagers, their minds aren't 100% developed. You know, like I like to feel that they have a chance, right? Because mentally they're not 100% ready for society and their decision making isn't sound. So I would want to know the circumstances around it. Did he have signs that he was a dangerous person before the murder? Or was it like a split second decision. Right. You know, that's different. Was it premeditated? Like, did he plan this shit, or was it like
something that just happened?
You know. So I had all those questions as well.
I think it's hard because you don't know what actually happened. Like, you weren't there when it happened. But when you think of somebody killing somebody, you know, it's like that's crazy. And
it seems like she knows what happened, right? Because they were all friends when they were younger,
right? But I don't know. I feel like people are in the state of wanting to save people, and while, you know, not all inmates are not shit, you know, they, at the end of the day, they are still real people, and some actually do go in there and come out being better than what they were. But I definitely do think being institutionalized after a while, it definitely does affect your mental and how you respond to outside, especially depending on how long you've been away, because a lot has changed. So much has changed, and it actually becomes overwhelming for people who finally get out and see what the world is like, and they're like, I can't keep up. And they actually end up going back into the system. So, I mean, if the red flags are there, you should talk to her. But
I feel like the only red flag is that he's in jail, right?
Yeah. And she mentions there's red flags, but she doesn't say what they are. I think two things came up for me. One is like, you think someone gets 25 to life, you're like, oh, their life is over. But now that I'm 33 and I could kind of remember 25 years ago, I'm like, you know what? People come out. And if you went to jail as a teenager, in 25 years, you're going to come out and you still have a lot of life left.
Yeah.
So now what? Is no one supposed to love you? No one's supposed to give you a chance? You have to get a job to maintain yourself. You're not going to be maintained by the government.
Yeah.
So what do? Do we just shun people forever?
And let's not ignore the fact that she is happy in this time. It's going to be another 10, 11 years of just writing and visits. And if the person's happy and they're not hurting anyone.
But that also goes to show my second point. The dating scene is hard out here.
Is it that hard?
Someone in jail.
Is it that hard?
I don't know. It couldn't be me.
No.
This whole show's about that, like people finding love. Well, they'll write to random inmates just fishing for someone.
Ooh, I just got a spicy question. Would y'all wait for each other? Would you wait for me? Like, if one of y'all had to go to jail?
Yeah, like, I mean, if it happened now, like,
it happen now.
And I mean, for y'all married.
But I think it
so
depends
you locked
why
in.
Why are you going to jail?
Why are you going to jail?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, people say love is unconditional. Like, nah. If he did some wild, crazy shit, I'm going to have to be like, I can't support you for that.
Yeah.
You know, like, it depends. So, yeah.
So with that being said, you might have to take her out too before you hit the behind the wall.
Listen, all my decisions in life is avoiding jail. I'm seriously think about that. Like, one is being safe and making it home, but also my freedom. I can't. I did 12 hours in a precinct once, and it set me straight. It was for speeding on a revoked license.
Oh man,
I've told the story on the pod before, but that set me straight. I was like, I don't need to do crime. Yeah.
But it's crazy because people who actually know what it's like to be in a prison, like even just working there, actually find themselves being on the other side of that, like being the inmate.
Yes.
And I'm just
we watched an episode, remember?
Yeah.
It was a corrections officer who started, you know, his job, and then next thing you know, he was an inmate.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you know, I come from a line of COs and like I'm meant to do this. Like, he's really all into it, and come to find out he ended up getting locked up for
it takes
smuggling.
a toll on you. Like, my father was a CO for 25 plus years, and
so maybe that like prisoner mentality kind of goes in.
Yeah, you start jailing.
You better go
like
to therapy.
But I feel like I feel like my father was like one of the fortunate ones because he didn't like let it take a toll on him. He's like, I go there, I take some guys to garden, and I come home. Like he's not like out. You know, some people are like super COs and
yeah, not him. I feel like he never really talks about it. Like
I genuinely, I don't really think he's hiding anything. I genuinely don't think it affected him in a negative way, which I'm grateful for.
That's what Travis gets it from. Like, very just like nothing really affects him too much.
Yeah.
Superpower.
But it's like, how can you have a relationship with someone in jail?
That I don't understand.
When do you like? You have what? How many 5-minute phone calls? Like, it's time. They're listening to it. No sex. No nothing. Like, no.
You know what
quality
I think?
time.
Prisoners are super desperate for like love and affection or someone to send them money and just people to talk to, that some of them become like very good manipulators, which is scary. Like I knew someone who was in jail for a couple of weeks, and when I would speak to them, they had all these sob stories that other inmates said to them, and I'm like, you gotta really not fall for everything these other inmates are telling you. Like, they're so used to this system, and they see you're new, you've never been to jail, this is your first time in jail. They're trying to eat you up. They were like, oh, I need to help them make a phone call or reach someone. I'm like, this sounds like they getting you because you're new there. So I feel like that learning how to survive in jail, they can manipulate people. And if you're gullible, have low self-esteem, they pull
It's
you
like
in.
the person asking you for money on the street with their sob story, but like on 1,000.
Yep. And when you're in the horrible dating scene, and sorry, it tends to be heterosexual men with straight women, and women fall for these inmates because men fucking suck. And then from behind bars, they could sell you a dream.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Hold up.
I'm not going to accept that men just fucking suck, because I feel like some
Sorry, I was
some
trying to let
women
her see.
aren't equipped to date, and they have some shit they need to get. And it's not always like the man ruined the relationship. It could be that the woman is just not suited for a relationship. So now, although that's that's what's taught to everyone, or that's the word that goes around more, it's just like, men ain't shit. So it couldn't be me. It's just that this man isn't shit.
Okay. And it could also be like that commitment. A guy in jail could commit. He ain't got nothing
I got
else to
nothing
do.
but time, baby.
Right.
I got my cell phone. I'm on TikTok.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But don't they get scared that the other person's gonna find somebody? You know, like they got options. Like
Well,
you-
imagine you like ride or die with this person, and then when they come on the outside, they meet someone else. Woo! I be the one.
We
in jail,
actually
man.
had somebody who messaged us saying like they got locked up, and then they were talking to somebody they used to date. The person ended up in the prison, and then the girl got out, and the other one stayed in, and they broke up with her, and she was with the other mate. It was a shit show. I
they
was just
basically
like,
dated the same girl.
yeah, it
In
was-
jail?
In jail.
Yeah, in jail.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Crazy. But I don't think that I would wait.
Thank you for bringing us back to that question.
No, because first of all, it definitely depends on the type of time she doing, and secondly, probably not, because I know she gonna find a shorty in the pen.
You
Oh,
think?
Yeah.
a shorty's gonna find her.
You
Yeah,
think?
and I'm gonna find a shorty, and I'm gonna have to be in there. So, yeah,
She gonna catch a
you remember
case
in
just
the
to be in
L-word when
there?
Helena went in,
Yeah.
and she was with the one she was bunked with.
That's in the OG
I'm
one.
not built
Yeah,
for
yeah,
jail.
yeah, I remember that.
I'm not built for that.
Listen, if I ever ended up in jail, the first thing I'm doing is getting the biggest girlfriend in
I'm
there.
saying though,
Fuck out of here to defend me.
jail can make motherfuckers look real dusty, busty, but some of them actually look alright.
I be thinking about my hair. Them quick little jail showers, I will have to be bald.
It's actually not that quick. You get ample amount of time to do what you got to do. It's just how you utilize that
It's
time.
this hair, I can't. I always said that if I went to jail, I would literally have to just shave it.
Just
Damn.
The
But you
moral
did
of the
that
story
before.
is that we all obey the law,
Yes.
yeah.
so we can love on our partners.
For real.
Yeah.
I feel like the only way I would go to jail is like life or death. I had to defend myself or my kids. But like now, I don't got no interest in anything illegal. Like I don't play that shit.
And I also think you should be with someone who doesn't put you in that predicament. You know, like a lot, especially younger people, it's like maybe they go out to a bar and they get like real aggressive, or like, why are you looking at my woman? And it's like
I hate
or
that.
it's like
Little dick energy.
you're gonna let him talk to me like that.
I get
And-
mad when people do that.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, you ain't going to stand up for me. Stand up for what?
Yeah.
Like, you're taking it so personal. Like, I feel like sometimes nowadays people take disrespect so easily. Like they're disrespected by everything.
There's also a limit though, because like let's say the three of us went out, girls. I'm not trying to get into with nobody. Somebody's talking shit. I'm very mature. I'll be like, fuck that bitch, whatever. But if I see someone put their hands on you, we fighting. Like that's it. Like at that point, I gotta get in too. And I feel like if I went out with a group of girls and I'm getting jumped and the girls I went with are like, I'm not
like,
getting in
nah.
it, I'm never talking to them again.
Oh, they getting their ass whooped too.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
You got to watch me get my ass beat. Now you gonna feel what it's like to get your ass beat.
Different. Like I'm not gonna hang out with women who are constantly trying to start shit with people, because now you looked for it.
Yeah.
But if shit just happened and it was out of my control and my friends are getting jumped, I'm fighting. Like, the fuck? You know what I mean?
Well, what about that with us?
Yeah, same. Like if someone's literally physically putting their hands on me, you gotta get in.
What if it's just verbal?
No, ignore it. If it's verbal, I'll be like, step away, walk away. I don't think no one's gonna say anything that's worth me going to jail, or not even going to jail, getting hurt. Like, I'm too pretty. Like, fuck out of here.
Right.
But I don't want. And people are crazy. Scratch your face, do anything to your face. No. Unless I'm literally physically in danger, I'm not getting into no fights.
Right.
Good to know.
Dayra like pulling hair.
Stop.
I like pulling hair too, so they're closer to me to punch. But okay, so let's see what the professional ethicist had to say. He said a lot, but like I highlighted some points. A relationship that takes place while one party is in prison doesn't tell you very much about what things will be like once the partner has been released.
True.
So it's like you can't judge based on this type of relationship, because it's gonna probably be very different.
It's very similar to like long distance relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like people who haven't lived together before and now
It changes the dynamics. But maybe this is like on a bigger extreme. He also said, you haven't said anything about what you think the red flags are beyond your opinion, not shared by your roommate who surely knows him better than you, that he's not changed much. So it's like, you don't really know, you don't speak to him directly.
You're still basing your opinion on him off the crime.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I think that kind of happens too, like in relationships. You know how people say, don't tell other people your problems, because they don't know the whole person and the whole situation. They only know that bad thing you told them, and that was gonna warp their whole perspective on them. He says, it would take a special effort on your part to reconcile with him, and it would be a lot for your roommate to ask. And yet, forgiveness, even if partial and provisional, is a worthwhile aim. Convey your concerns in a supportive way, but try to be open as well to her views. A world without second chances is a dismal one for offenders who have served their sentences.
I feel like we said that.
Yeah, you brought that up in the first part, and I'm like, damn, my baby's smart. Because I knew it was coming up. But it's true. It's like, you got to forgive people eventually, especially if they're so.
Everyone here has been forgiven for something. Maybe not murder,
Yeah.
but we've all been forgiven.
But there's nuances to everything. Because a serial killer or someone who just had the itch to kill someone, it's harder to forgive. But some people are put in tough situations sometimes. I hope I never in a situation that I have to take someone's life. Like, that's a burden that no one wants to carry.
And it could have been an accident. Like, I know someone who was driving and got into a car accident, and then the people in the other car died.
Yeah, vehicular. How you say it? Vehicular.
Vehicular.
I couldn't think of the word. Manslaughter. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Or people who like hit bikers, like on a bike. Oh my God. Or runners or anything. That's like cars. I'd be like, seatbelt. Or if you're driving and then your friends in the back seat don't wear their seatbelts, I always tell people in the back seat, put your seatbelt on, put your seatbelt on. People look at me like I'm crazy, but.
Same.
And I had an accident. I was by myself though. But the back of my car got destroyed. And I'm like, if anyone was in my back seat with no seatbelt, they would have went right through the fucking window.
Yeah.
So ever since then, I don't play that shit. I feel like, all right, Stephanie.
She used to be so mad at me because I didn't wear a seatbelt.
Yeah.
Driving?
Driving. We would get into arguments. So you know what I started doing? I said, I'm going to take my seatbelt off then. Because if you crash, then we both dying.
I would be like, I'm not getting in the car. That would be me. I'm not getting in the car. So we're not going nowhere.
Yeah, I've never not worn my seatbelt. No. It makes me feel secure.
You know how paranoid I am? He likes to take his seatbelt off to parallel park because he feels like he's just more comfortable.
Yeah.
But in the Bronx, when there's like the streets are busy, I'm like, don't even take your seatbelt off to park because
I have to
you
turn
never
my
know.
body and stuff, and I just like, I don't know. It's habit. And she's like, You haven't parked the car yet.
Because you don't know people crazy in the Bronx. Like here is different. It's like, come on. But like in the Bronx and stuff, I'm like, you never know. Like, don't take your seatbelt off. Like, imagine you freaking die parking your car.
Right. No, and most accidents happen like 5 minutes away from your house. Because people get careless. They're like, I'm right there. I'm right there. Like, and they'll be making quick turns. Like, they don't come to a complete stop. Like,
they think they know the area.
They know the area so much, and that's most of car accidents happen like that.
Insane. Absolutely not. So yeah, that wraps us up. How did y'all feel? Part 2. And we still like each other.
It felt good.
I feel like we should do it a lot sooner than a year from now, right?
Yeah. I was thinking the same anniversary.
We surpassed the year, no?
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago was the year.
It's crazy what can happen and like how much can change in a year. It's crazy.
But also how much stays the same.
Yeah, that's
you know, like certain things are like, okay, this is consistent.
We might as well merge at this point.
We les each other.
Let's work on that.
No, because then we're gonna kick you out.
Right.
I'll be the producer.
Yes.
Fuck all y'all.
You got the sexy tone too.
Just be in the back off the camera.
Doing ad-libs.
Right.
Listen, people like looking at me too.
Yeah,
okay?
they do. You're hot.
You're cute.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you. So we always ask,
do you
still like us?
Love you.
No, I don't want that love. Do you still like us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Peace.
Deuce, motherfuckers.
Bye.